Okay. Uh, so anyway, I'm Rocco Cremonese. I'm our host today. I'm from Slippery Rock University, but our star attraction today is Martin Dunlap, the engineering librarian at the WVU libraries, to present tips and tricks for great video creation and editing, even if you have no budget. Which is something I'm sure many of us can relate to in these times. So I will turn the floor over to Martin. If you have any questions during or throughout, please ask in the chat and we'll have a question and answer session at the end. And I will turning it over to you, Martin.
Okay, so a couple seconds here. I'll introduce myself a little bit. My name is Martin Dunlap. I work at West Virginia University. I'm the engineering librarian. I've been here for about 23 years, but I'm only coming up on my third year as a librarian. So before that, I was classified staff and worked in media and worked a bunch of desks and did cataloging, things like that. And then before that, I was an environmental consultant for 10 years or so. So that's the engineering part of my job. So I just got kind of fell into doing video stuff. My family does stuff. My brother is a professional. He makes commercials and things like that. And so I just started doing a lot of this. And, I am not a guru of this, but these are some things that I like to talk about. And so as I go along, I'm going to have some stops for questions. You can unmute yourself and ask. Or you can wait until the end. That's fine, whatever you feel comfortable with. But I like to have it be a little more free form. So if people ask questions, again, you can put it in the chat and Rocco or Nick can tell me, what the question is, or you can unmute yourself and ask whatever you are more comfortable with. So I'm going to start my presentation now. Let me hit the button that says share screen. Okay. And let me turn it on. So if someone could just give me a thumbs up there that they can actually see. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so you can see my contact information down there at the bottom. So I'm just going to start here and start talking about tips and tricks. So let's I'll just do a little agenda here. I like to start with. This is something that I really like to do to let everybody know what I'm going to be talking about. So we're just going to talk about some lighting and sound issues. I only have about a half hour. I could do an entire show just on lighting and sound, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to do kind of the highlights, and then talk about some storyboarding, captioning, some low-cost programs that you can use, and about where you're going to host the things that you have made. Okay, so I like to talk about the background of making videos. So if you make videos, some people think, well, I'll just be able to do this. It's just a matter of lights, camera, action. And as we all know, that's probably not the case. I mean, maybe you're that good, but there's a lot more that goes into making videos than just lights, camera, action. And much like painting, everything that you can do ahead of time will benefit the final product. Okay, so you got to work on script, whether you're going to use a script or just wing it. Are you going to use a microphone? My recommendation is yes, you should use a microphone. What background are you going to use? Are you going to be standing up with so that the camera is on you? Are you just going to be making videos that are just your screen? Where you're going to host? Are you going to add captioning? Well, yes, you are going to add captioning. Anyway, you should add captioning. Can you do it from home? Can you make these files and upload from home? Do you have to go to work? Screen capture, are you going to do that? And is your computer up to it? My computer at WVU was simply not up to making videos. It crashed all the time. They moved from the blue screen of death to the green screen of death, and it didn't help any. So I actually went out and bought, in fact, the computer that I'm using right now is the computer that I bought to make videos. So again, everything that you can think of ahead of time will help you create your videos. So let's talk a little bit about lighting and sound. Okay. So this is my really impossibly small and cryptic description of how to do lighting and sound. So it's you in the middle. If you can, have something on your right that will light you. And if you actually have something to go on your left, that's fantastic. You do not need the fancy backlight, but you can always try it if you happen to have something. And I'll talk a little bit about the camera there. I use, when I do a lot of video, if I'm going to be videoing myself, I use a video camera rather than a webcam, but use whatever you have. If you have a video camera, in fact, if you have a phone, it is probably better than your webcam. So experiment with that. But lighting is really helpful. You know, a really good video has good lighting. A really good video has really good sound. Okay, so it's much better to have good sound if you can help it. So if you're going to be videoing yourself, try to be only a couple of feet away so that you have good sound. So this is a picture of me just a couple of days ago, and this is with no light on in the room, and you can see there's a lot of shadow behind me. In fact, the only light in this picture is from the screen. This is a picture of from Zoom. Okay, so here you have decent lighting, but again, it's only on one side of me. So if you can, there you go, turn on a light on both sides so that both sides of your face are illuminated approximately equal. That's what you're looking for, is approximate light intensity on both sides of your face. And this really doesn't matter if you're going to do screen capture, but it really does matter if it's going to be you in the picture. Okay, so let me show you a short video. So this is what it sounds like to not use a microphone at about 6 feet. Okay, so there's a lot of problems with this video. Let me move on to the next thing, maybe. And I'll just talk about some. Okay, so the video was kind of squashed there. I really am not that round. But it was a funny happenstance to have that video show up. And the sound was terrible, but the light was okay, I'd have to say. But let me show you another video, and we could talk about it. This is what it sounds like if you use a microphone at 6 feet. Better, no? Okay. So I can talk about those, right? So even though there was some sound in the background there, which was my furnace kicking on, by the way, it was still a better sound because the microphone was right up against me, rather than having to traverse the 6 feet between me and the camera. Okay, so if you can, use a microphone. If you can, use good lighting. Are there any questions at this point, guys?
Colleen Caldwell asked in the chat if your microphone is cordless.
Yes. So the one that I had in that last video was a Bluetooth microphone. And it's pretty cheap. It's about 30 bucks. I can give you some specs. Now, the one that I was using in that video, of course, they no longer make. But there are some out there that are reasonably priced. Now, the one that I used in that second video was also made to go only on video cameras. So if you're using your phone, you'd have to find a different microphone. But yes, I did use a wireless one, but you can use a wired one. I have several that I do, and in many cases, those are cheaper. But just experiment with a microphone, but again, I recommend that you use a microphone if you're going to be more than a foot away from anything that you're doing. Any other questions?
Yes, there are a couple questions about the lighting. Where are the lights, on the sides of you or a little in front? And also a follow-up question asking you to define good lighting as per the above question.
Okay, so the lights that I have are parallel to me on the right and the left. And in this case, on my right, I have a window, but I also have a clip-on lamp, a clip-on reading lamp that provides light to my right. And then to the left, I have one of those winter lamps that give you all spectrum lighting. I really like those. They give you all spectrum lighting, and they're not that expensive, and they don't give off a whole lot of heat. So it's a very nice light. And the other question was, what defines good lighting? Well, if it lights up your face, is what it comes down to, or your body. You don't want to have shadows where as you move, shadows are on you. So if you can have something where you can see your face, but again, a lot of it is up to you. If you watch, nightly news where people are out in the field, they just have the camera and they have the light on the camera. You can see how awkward that is sometimes, especially if you're trying to read copy at the same time. So if you can, have the lights maybe 3 or 4 feet away from you on your right and to your left. But if you feel like, just having the light from your monitor be the light, you can do that. It's whatever you're comfortable with, and that helps you read the script if you have to read a script. So that's what I'd say about that. Anything else? Okay, let me move on. So let's talk a little bit about storyboarding. Okay, so when I do a lot of my videos, I set up everything in a browser, and it doesn't matter which browser, but I use a browser, and I set up every step, or as many steps as I can, so that I'm not, like if I'm saying something about logging in, I don't actually log in. I set everything up ahead of time so that I'm only showing those steps. So the thing I can recommend is storyboard, storyboard, storyboard. Okay, so work on everything that you're going to say ahead of time. It doesn't have to be a script necessarily, although that could be helpful if you want to. I sometimes read from a script depending on what it is I have to say. But I always go through everything that I'm going to say several times before I say it. It cuts down on saying things like, and then, all those hesitations. I try to cut down on those as much as possible. But you don't necessarily want to completely eliminate them, because students know you're human. You're allowed to be human. Okay. So my tabs, as I click on them, the thing will pop in, the next thing will pop in, and the next thing will pop in. Okay. So they're all in order, and you're not wasting time showing people that you have a slow internet or something like that. So if you do all of those steps and take screen captures of them ahead of time, you can just go through them. Now, one thing I do like to use is an advancer. When I do PowerPoint presentations, I like to have a little advancer device so that I am able to look and just push a button and move things along. And I just find it more comfortable to do so. Okay, so let me shut that off again. So let's go on to storyboarding. So there are some storyboard programs out there, and these are just a couple of them, but use anything that you're comfortable with. I don't storyboard as much as I used to, but I do, I'd still go through everything I'm going to do. But if you're comfortable doing storyboarding, then continue to do storyboarding. I take a lot of screen captures and put them, in PowerPoints or set them up in browsers, but it depends on how you're doing. And use the thing that you're most comfortable with. If you're comfortable with PowerPoint, use PowerPoint. If you're comfortable with whatever else, Google Slides or something like that, go ahead and use them, the thing that you're most comfortable with, because it'll help you be comfortable and sound comfortable on screen. Any questions at this point?
Virginia asked a question in chat. Are you using the annotation tool / arrows in Zoom?
No, those are all in PowerPoint. So I'm showing just a PowerPoint. In fact, I can go back here. So it is all just something that I set up in PowerPoint. That's a screen capture with arrows added. I did one of these presentations on Monday, and some of you may have seen that one as well. You will know I love arrows. When I go through my PowerPoint, I love to point out exactly what it is I'm talking about, because many of the people who are watching whatever video you're making, that's the very first time that they have seen whatever it is you're trying to show them. So they're, they may not be able to read in time exactly what it is you're saying. So if you have a picture of a screen that's say a home page, and you just say go to services and then go to someplace, they may not be able to see that. So if I say a word on a PowerPoint or something like that, I usually put an arrow to let people know exactly where I'm going, right? So they're not having to think about it, and they'll be able to get it. They'll be able to say, oh, right away, it's services and then interlibrary loan or whatever. So you're following a storyline, and I like to point at it as much as possible. That doesn't always work out, but it's another reason I really like using PowerPoint to make videos. If you do browsers, the program that I use to capture my screen capture, the program, which is called Screencast-O-Matic, it has a way of putting a big halo around your cursor. And I love that one as well, that you can stop and you can pause and kind of wiggle it and say, right here is where I'm looking, and then right down here is where I'm looking. And I have some examples of that later on. I'll show them to you. All right. So if there are no more questions, I'll move on. Okay. Thank you for the question, Jenny. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about closed captioning. Okay. So this is the background that I use a lot. Now I've moved around with backgrounds and things, but I like to use a 16:9 background. It's a nice big space. Almost everybody has a monitor that is, wider than it is tall. So it just fits in better, and it gives me a little more real estate to work with. So I like to make things as big as possible. If I take a picture of a page, I like to blow it up and use up as much space as possible. So this is a good background, but this is a better background because this is where the captions go. Okay, so if you leave space on the bottom of your picture, you automatically have a place to put your captions. Again, I'll show this later on what that looks like. So I find that this is a better way to do it, that if you automatically ahead of time reserve a place for captions, then you can work things out to see how it looks as you go along. Okay, so don't use a background that's so busy that it's difficult to read what's on the screen. Okay, so one of the reasons I like this background is it's got something on it, but it's not crazy busy. Okay, and I'll put the URL for this in the chat at the end because I can't see chat right now. But this is an article that I wrote earlier this year that talks about how to put the captions on using some low-cost programs. I can't recommend it enough to use this Screencast-O-Matic, but there's another free program, which I'll go over in a second, which is really helpful for putting captions directly on the video. Now, the program that we use at WVU to host our videos, called MediaSite, is a really great site. I really recommend it. But it does something that if you put captions from most programs, it doesn't put them on the video. It puts them under the video, which means that they come out in something like, maybe 2 or 3 point type. I can't read them. I mean, they're impossible to read. So what I do is put them down at the bottom of the screen so that they can be easily read. Students who are watching these with headphones on or whatever, they can read along with what I'm doing very easily if you put them in at the bottom of your screen. Okay, so let me show you a short video that I made. Hi, welcome to our video on orientation of eCampus. So the first thing you need to do is get to eCampus. So you go to eCampus, that's ecampus.wvu.edu, and then you click on Login. And remember that when you log in, you're going to use your WVU issued username and password, and you're also going to have to dual authenticate. So make certain you have your phone or whatever you use to authenticate with you. Okay, so that is a short video that showed a lot of the things that I was talking about there. So the screen capture captured a browser. You didn't see me log in. I just moved from tab to tab to tab, and the captions were at the bottom. You also noticed that I had some problems. I didn't say the right words. I wasn't using a script. But so it's not a perfect video, but it's a good representative video of the ideas that I'm trying to get across. Any questions at this point? Okay, let's move on to the next thing. So these are just a list, and you don't have to write these down. I'll send you these slides, so you'll be able to get them. So we're just going to have everybody's email. I'll send this to Rocco or Nick, and they'll send them out. So let's go on to the free or low cost programs. So PrintKey is a screen capture program, and it doesn't capture moving images, only still images. But still, as you can see, I have a lot of background pictures and things like that. So PrintKey is invaluable to me to be able to grab a picture and stick it on the screen. It saves a lot of time to be able to just capture one part of a screen. And then Format Factory is the program that I was talking about, that it's a free program and it lets you put the captions directly on the video. So it's a free version or a free video, and there are many versions of it now, and they recently put out, I think they're on like 5.1 right now, and they're okay, but I recommend something around the version 4, because version 5 is just needlessly complicated. Version 4 will still do the work, and it's not nearly as complicated. So this one called OBS Studio, many of you have heard about it. I'm still a rookie on OBS Studio, but it's an open source screen capture program, and it does some really cool stuff. So hopefully I will be learning and using it more in the future. Go to YouTube and watch videos about how to learn things on OBS Studio. There are tons of them out there, and I can recommend it. And then these things called MP4 tools, just a joiner and splitter. If you make a video and all you want to do is cut off the part where you walk up to the camera, and I recommend that you do that, by the way, and then the part where you turn off the camera, you want to clip those out. There's no need to open up a huge program to do it. This MP4 tools will let you clip that off very easily. And then there's the Screencast-O-Matic. It is not free, but I think it's something like $13 for 3 years. It is really not very expensive, and it really does a great job. If you go to their website right now, And I just use their products. I don't, I don't get any money out of it, but they do have a special going on right now. So go and look at that site and see if you can use it. All right, and then here is a list of all of those programs. So you'll be getting these at the end, so you can go and look at them. Now that thing up there, the storyboard software reviews, that's just a page that's going to talk about those 3 storyboarder programs that I had. So any questions right now? Okay, let's go on to the last part here, hosting. I don't have a whole lot to say about this, but I'm going to recommend that you use whatever university that you are at. If your university has a place to host, I would use that first. Just for security reasons, you can control it a lot more than if you give them to YouTube. For instance, there might be some other places out there, but and I don't want to pick on YouTube because I know we use it a lot. But WVU kind of does not want us to use YouTube. So I like the one called Media Site, and that's hosted at WVU. It gives you a lot more flexibility. It lets you turn off your videos, and you can even be kind of fancy with them. You can embed quizzes in them and things like that. So you could embed them in your class, and then at the end of a video, the students would have to take a 2 or 3 question exam at the end, and that tells you that they watched it. Okay. And I also want to point out that our version of MediaSite is now cloud-based. So the space limitations that used to be there for a lot of things are taken away. So this really opens up doing things like voice over PowerPoint. We've always been asked to not do that because they make big files. Well, forget that. Since we don't have any space limitations, if you're comfortable doing voice over PowerPoint, then do that. And then you would just upload it to MediaSite, and then you would link in eCampus. So no space limitations there. You're just putting a link. Now, if you want to put up a short video that's about 90 seconds or less that says, hey, this is how you do something, you can put that on eCampus, something like that. Just remove it when you're done. So that is what I have to say about that. Anyone have any questions?
I think this was a really great presentation. We've still got a little bit of time if anyone does have additional questions for Martin.
I'll ask a question. The reason I don't use MediaSite is because I want everything I do to be open, like open education, open access. Isn't MediaSite proprietary and only for people that can log in?
No. So you can limit things, just like YouTube, you can limit to a certain group of people. But yes, when you upload your files to MediaSite, you have some options. And one of them is open to everybody, which is what I always do.
Great, thank you, thank you.
Now, if you did want to limit to just people who are at WVU, that's the default. So when you upload, it is to just WVU, but it's literally a slider. I'll send you some, I'll send you the PowerPoint that I did on Monday. It will actually show you how to do that, Beth. But yeah, so it does work for everyone. So my point in showing this picture right here is use as low a tech picture as as possible. This is a 3-dimensional or a 360-degree picture that if you don't have the right program to use it, this is the picture that you get. Now, it's a cool picture, but it doesn't do the thing that you think it's going to do. So use as low a tech as possible. Let me go back to here. Okay, and I'll stop sharing screen now.
Martin, someone did ask, Gene Larson asks in the chat, what site offers the easiest explanations for editing a Zoom video? So what tools or resource would you recommend for that?
So for editing Zoom videos, actually that Screencast-O-Matic program has just integrated Zoom into that. So that's what I would recommend. So when you download the file, if you can, work with MP4s. That is, you know, pretty much universal now. So I would recommend that. But there are plenty of programs out there, even that OBS. OBS has to me, the reason I don't use it all the time is it has kind of a learning curve to it, which Screencast-O-Matic is a lot lower learning curve to me. You know, you put the file in there and then it's visual. You want to remove a certain clip, you highlight that clip and you hit delete. If you just want to do sound editing, I would recommend Audacity. That does a really good job. The same deal, you know, you just load your MP3 or WAV file in there and whatever you want to work with, you can clip out or save or make something slightly louder. That's the way to do it. Any other questions? I hear sounds as if there might be questions. So again, I'll go back to the microphone thing a little bit. I have used lapel microphones in the past that clip directly to my computer, and those are okay. Those are, you know, really cheap. Those are, you know, literally $1 or $2. And those are generally okay, and they're often better than just having you talking to your machine. But it depends on the setup that you have. I often set up, I have a professional microphone that I've lucked into here and there, and I just hook that up to my machine and use it. That is the way to go if you can. Or you can use something like a headset. Those headsets that have the boom that come in front of your face. Those are awesome for sound as well. And they do a very good job of blocking out sound around you. So if you have one of those, like Linksys makes a good one, that's another good way to go. And that's digital sound too. So, you know, when you plug it in, it's doing a really good digital job. It's you know, going to go in through your USB rather than clip into the microphone thing. So it much be better to use a USB plug than the plug that goes into the mini jack that goes into your machine. That's an analog setup. And I can show you. So if I turn off a light next to me, you can see, you know, that it does make a difference having something that's on and off. So you know, it's not the worst thing in the world to have one side of your face, you know, lit or not, but it can make it easier for you to read something. And that's mainly for my personal thing. That's why I like to have things lit, is just so that I can see what I'm looking at better. That's what it comes down to.
Okay, great. Well, if we don't have any more questions, thank you so much, Martin. This was an amazing presentation. And actually, I think this is one of the best attended presentations that we've had to date. I think we crested over 60 people. Rocco, I'll let you take over from here, but I was just going to note that we will be taking January off. So our next webinar will not be until February.
Great. That was pretty much the only announcement I had, other than to thank Martin and thank everyone for attending. Wishing everyone happy holidays, good new year. And yes, we will be on hiatus in January. So our next official video, watch for the announcement and everything, will be February the third Friday in February. That's our common time. You may have noticed if you've attended more than one of these things. So always your third Friday, 12 o'clock. And if you're interested in participating, or interested in submitting to participate, or want the link to the YouTube channel to review, we will send that information out. Send that information out with the slides, so you get it in an email form, because I was going to paste it in chat. It's a giant link, so we'll do that by email. And thanks again, everyone. Be well.
All right.
Thank you, Martin.
Thanks so much, everybody.